These are the 5 worst mistakes immigrants make when applying for US citizenship. The US government announced just recently that the US citizenship test is going to be changed quite significantly. In fact, I've made a video right here that talks about some of the main changes to the US citizenship test. As we are getting ready to transition into a new test on December 1st, those of you that are going to be filing for citizenship before December 1st will benefit from the old test. But no matter whether you're going to use the old test or the new test, there are 5 worst mistakes that many immigrants make when applying for US citizenship, and I'll talk about those mistakes in this video. If you're a green card holder and you qualify for citizenship, my recommendation is to file for citizenship as soon as you can, before any fee increases or changes to the exam and other regulations. Once you become a US citizen, you can obtain a US passport, update your social security card, and register to vote. So let's talk about the 5 worst mistakes that immigrants make when applying for US citizenship. Number 1, failing to double, triple check their application before submission. Many applicants focus on the questions and studying for the exam as opposed to really looking at their actual application. People study for the exam months before the actual test. They worry about getting the questions and start practicing. But they don't think about the actual application. It is really important to make sure that you review and think about what you put in this application if you do it yourself. Sections about your travel history is really important. People make mistakes there. Sections about your addresses, previous addresses that conflict with information that you provided during your green card application. And most importantly, when you check those boxes, they ask you questions about your criminal history, information you provided to the immigration, and other things like that. Make sure you're very careful as to what you check in those boxes, because once you submit that application, if information is wrong, sometimes immigration may perceive it as misrepresentation and your application can be denied just for that reason. So make sure you always double, triple check your application before you send it. Number 2, failing to submit citizenship proof for a spouse if you're filing for your citizenship based on marriage to a US citizen. What do I mean by that? If you're filing, for example, after 3 years and you're married and living together with a US citizen spouse, you have to prove that you were actually married to a US citizen spouse. So providing her the marriage certificate, providing proof of her citizenship, and maybe some documents to prove that you are still living together. Either you submit it with your application or you bring it at the time of your interview. But it's really important to address that point, and many people forget to do so, and they have a lot of issues at the time of the interview, and sometimes this can result in a denial of the application for lack of qualification. So remember, if you're filing for citizenship based on marriage to a US citizen spouse, make sure you prove that that spouse is actually a citizen and that you're still living together and married. Number 3, failing to pay the right fees. There are so many cases where we see applicants file for their N-400 application, but the cases get sent back because they send the wrong fees, or their checks are not signed, or things like that. So make sure you check the correct fee, and remember, the application fee is $725, and that includes $85 for biometrics. Do not forget that. Too many cases are being sent back because people send the wrong fees, and it may take weeks to receive the file back, and in the meantime your case gets delayed and is not being processed. So remember, always check on the USCIS website for the correct fees, and never forget to send the biometric fees as well. Number 4, failing to respond to requests for evidence and submitting supporting documents on time. Very often when you file your N-400 application, it may happen that you get a request for more evidence. Sometimes they want to see proof of your financial documents like taxes. Sometimes they may want proof about your marriage if you're filing based on marriage. Sometimes they need more evidence about your travel. This can happen while the application is pending or after your interview. The officer will give you a request for more evidence based on things that happened in the interview. Too many cases we see that people just don't send the information on time, and as a result, those cases get denied. So always read the request for evidence, submit everything on the list, and always submit documents requested from USCIS on time. Number 5, failing to meet the eligibility requirements before you actually file your application. So what do I mean by that? For example, some people file their N-400 based on marriage to a US citizen. They can file this after 3 years, but it happens that they don't live together anymore for whatever reason. that is not going to work because the requirement is that you still have to be married but also living together. And so filing after 3 years may not work in this case. The application may be rejected and you'll have to wait 2 more years to file based on the 5-year requirements. Another issue could be with excessive travel from the United States while having a green card. That means you may have broken the continuous residency requirement. So when you apply for your citizenship, you may not qualify. You have to calculate all the dates, make sure that you have enough dates based on requirements to file for citizenship, and only then file. Too many people are filing too early, they don't meet the requirements, and at the time of the interview, they just get denied. So make sure that before you file, check that you actually qualify to avoid an unnecessary denial. And finally, an extra tip: always tell the truth to the US officer at the time of the interview. You may have a good application and all the documents in there, but when they ask you questions in the interview and they don't think you're telling the truth, you may be denied citizenship for lack of good moral character. So remember, always be honest with the officer. It's worth it, because if not, your case may be denied just for that. So hopefully these tips were helpful. Let's repeat them once again. Number 1, failing to check your application before you actually file it. Always check and triple check. Number 2, failing to submit proof of citizenship and other documents based on marriage to a US citizen if you're actually married to a US citizen. Number 3, paying the wrong fees. Always make sure you check the fees on the USCIS website. Number 4, failing to submit supporting documents on time, failing to respond to an RFE on time is a major reason why a lot of cases get denied. And number 5, failing to meet the eligibility requirements before actually filing. Always check that you qualify before spending the money and filing for nothing. Hopefully this video was helpful. Let me know in the comments what you think. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, wait a second, we're not done yet. If you want to know all the changes to the US citizenship test, click the video right here and we'll tell you all about it.